Teks 8.8a. Caterer number 1 sells a 50-person party platter for $400 and $5 for every pound of extra food. Caterer number 2 sells a 50-person platter for $350 and $7 for every pound of extra food. What equation can be used to determine how many pounds of extra food are needed for caterer number 1 to be less expensive? So here we're going to use the line equation y equals mx plus b. And we're going to find the value of each of these y, m, and b for caterer number 1 and number 2. So for y, that's going to equal the price. For b, that's going to be the original price of the 50-person party platter. So for caterer number 1, it's going to be $400, and for caterer number 2, it's going to be $350. For x, that's going to be our variable, which is going to be changing depending on every pound of extra food. And since that's being multiplied by m, and every pound of extra food is going to be changed from caterer number 2, which is $7, and caterer number 1, which is $5. So for caterer number 1, our x value is going to be a variable, and in the original charge is going to be $400 at a rate of $5 per pound. So our equation is going to be price 1 is equal to $5 times number of pounds of extra food plus 400. Then for caterer number 2, the original cost is going to be $350 at a rate of $7 per pound of extra food. So our equation is going to look like price number 2 is equal to $7 times number of extra pounds of food plus 350, which is our original cost. Then in order to find out how many pounds of extra food there needs to be in order for caterer number 2 to be more expensive than caterer number 1, we're going to set them equal to each other. So that's going to be the point where they're both going to cost the same amount. So here we have price 1 is equal to price 2, and we're going to find the number of pounds of extra food that we need in order for both of them to be equal to each other. So here we have 5 times x plus 400, and then 7 times x plus 350, and all we're going to do is solve for x. So here we're going to move both of the 350 and 400 to the same side, so we're going to subtract 350 to the other side and do the same for the 5x times, or the 5 times x, we're going to subtract it to the other side. So we're going to have negative 350 plus 400 is equal to 7 times x minus 5 times x. And then we can factor out the x, so we get x times 7 minus 5, or x times 2. And then in order to get the x by himself, all we're going to do is just divide by 2 after we subtract the 400, or the 350 from the 400, which gives us 50. So then once we divide by 2 to get the x by itself, we're going to be left with x is equal to 25. This, however, will only get us where the price of caterer number 1 is equal to the price of caterer number 2. So in order for caterer number 1 to be less expensive than caterer number 2, we're going to need to add 1 to the 25, and that's going to be 26 whenever caterer number 1 is less expensive.